Hey, stunning people. My name is Beane, and welcome to the Salt Lick Sessions. Our next artist is from London, Ontario, and he crossed the northern border to be with us today in Boston. He's back in his old stomping grounds, and I can't wait for you to hear what he has in store. This is Ken Yates.
Every time the sun comes up, I'm in trouble. People say I'm a one-hit wonder, but what happens when I have to? Your dishes, but I shit in your bathroom. Even when the sun comes up, I'm in trouble. Even when the sun comes up, I'm in trouble. We broke your glasses, but covered our asses. Take time silently, feel real room hi-fi. When every time the sun comes up, I'm in trouble. Every time the sun comes up, I'm in trouble. Yeah, every time the sun comes up, I see double.
Hey, Ken.
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad that you had some time to come and visit us at the Salt Lick Session.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to be back in Boston. It's been a
Back in
while.
Boston.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend in Boston?
I went to Berkeley, so I spent 4 years living here. It's been a while.
Where are you coming from?
Canada. I live in a small town just north of Toronto. So, yeah.
Were you raised there?
No, I was raised in London, Ontario, which is a couple hours west of Toronto. And now we live in a little town kind of in northern Ontario. Well, I was in Toronto for the past 10 years or so. So, yeah.
Tell me about your family and your parents. Are they musical?
Not really. I mean, there was always music in the house. My grandparents are musical. My mom played a little piano. They were all, there was always music around in the house, and they were very encouraging.
What kind of stuff did they play when you were younger?
My dad was really into 70s folk and Neil Young and James Taylor, and all those guys were always always on in the house. So yeah, I kind of grew up listening to that kind of stuff. They put me into piano lessons and eventually wanted to move to the guitar, and asked them if they'd be supportive if I applied for Berklee, not thinking I would get in. Cause like, I just played guitar in my basement. We never even played in bands or anything. And they were like super supportive of that, having no knowledge of Berklee or me like moving to the US or, so I'm very grateful for that now that they were that supportive at the time, because like we were just totally ignorant to what that even meant, right? And then I got in and it was like, oh, okay, well, now we gotta figure out how to send this guy to school. So I'm very, very appreciative for that at this point in my life, considering I'm still doing it.
What do you think the transformation is that you went through from playing guitar in your basement to then doing it on a more elevated level, like going to school for it?
Yeah. So for me, what's crazy is I think if I hadn't gone to Berklee, I'm not even sure I would be doing music, because I hadn't written a song. I played guitar. I love music. I knew I wanted to have a career in music, but I didn't know really what that looked like. So Berklee was very much like this space for me to just kind of figure out what I wanted to do. Whereas a lot of people who went to Berklee already like were kind of finished products. They knew they wanted to be songwriters. They knew they wanted to be, producers or in music business. But for me, it was just like, all right, let's just figure out what I want to do. So I bounced around. I, took some jazz courses, took some like, shredder courses, electric guitar, and then eventually kind of stumbled my way into the songwriting world and took a few songwriting courses and wrote a lot of bad songs. And then eventually the songs started getting better. And it was like, once I found the songwriting kids, I was just like, these are my people, man.
So then what happened post-school? Tell me about what happened to you post-music school. You're out of there. You got your degree, whatever that means in the music industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing. Moved to New York. Struggled really hard in New York for 2 years. Moved back to Canada, to Toronto after that. And just toured as much as possible. Eventually, the shows got better, started building an audience like person by person. It was very much definitely paid my dues for a while there, but it started to grow into, a big enough audience that I could, at least live off of it.
Tell me about your album. It's called Cerulean.
That came out in June and
June of 2022.
June of 2022. And I was working on it during the pandemic, and it's very much my pandemic record. And
did you record it remotely?
We did a little bit in studio in between lockdowns. We were really locked down for like 2 years in Ontario, and but we had a couple of weeks where we weren't. So I went over to my producer's, and he just lived outside of Ottawa, and so we fit in a couple of like full band sessions, but then the rest was pretty much remote, just kind of sending ideas back and forth.
Yeah. No, totally. It's been interesting. One of the things that I've learned interviewing all these artists is that the pandemic was a particularly unique time for creators.
Yeah.
In that, I mean, at least I could speak for myself and some of the other people I've spoken to. It felt devastating and depressing, and we couldn't connect with our people and whatever, But the art that came out of it, there's a lot of people that take away some art from that time that they're super proud of.
Totally, and I think it's still happening too, because I think people got in that groove. At least for me, like. At first, I think I canceled like 30 or 40 shows just, in that 2-month span.
That's wild.
And it was just mostly, it was hard at first because I thought like, oh, wow, now I have all this time to be creative. But when you go from just being on the road all the time to having all that space, it's kind of jarring at first. So it took me a while, but once I got in the groove of doing that, I think I speak for a lot of people when it was just like really nice to have all that time to be creative. And I think people are now just spending more time at home being creative. And I still feel like there's just new stuff coming out like every week that is amazing, and everyone's just making it at home now. And it's crazy. It's just unlocked, all this like creativity from people, I think. So it's kind of a cool time. I'm kind of enjoying it in a weird way. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I think it just changed the kind of foundation that we all thought was there to create,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm intrigued as somebody who has done the slow burn.
Yeah.
What do you think about the world we live in now, where like people chase virality and build a crazy inorganic audience so quickly?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's weird to me. It's not a world that I've lived in, and I'm definitely like, I'm resistant to following it myself, but I also see the good in it because, I've met so many artists just these past few years just from messaging each other on Instagram or on social media and sharing each other's music or people covering a song and sharing it. And it's just like all these people that I'm working with now, some of them I've never even met in person. Some of the people that sang on the most recent record I had never met in person when they sang on it. So,
oh, wow.
So that part is kind of cool, you know, like the internet still works in some cool ways sometimes in terms of building a community. At least for me, like with artists, I think it's kind of a good way to connect with other artists. But in terms of the going viral thing, I don't really know anything about that. And
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that you are a well-seasoned artist. It's like
Sure.
talent's all over the place.
Yeah.
But now if I'm going to book somebody, I want to also make sure that they have a little bit of seasoning on there.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't got to teach them, how to talk to a crowd or how to
absolutely
work people,
Yeah. That was just a skill that I developed just from doing it, like just repetition and
right.
stuff.
And you got to fuck up enough to know that it's okay to fuck up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great now because now it's just like, I've done it for so long that you're just kind of ready for anything.
Right.
And so I played so many bad shows coming up that now when you play a great show where there's an amazing crowd and an amazing room, there's barely any nerves now because you're like, this is what I did all that stuff for, right? Like
totally.
The hardest part was playing the bad shows. The good shows, it's like, this is what I was trying to do in the first place.
Yeah.
So this feels easy now, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
What would Basement Ken, young Basement Ken, shredding,
oh boy,
loading the Don't Stop Believing solo,
what
would he think about where you are now?
I think he'd be confused. Firstly, that version of me was playing Incubus in the basement. I think it's come kind of full circle because I kind of went through a real like folky phase where I was just kind of out there on the road on my own, like doing the troubadour thing with the acoustic guitar, and now it's kind of come full circle where I'm starting to play more with full bands and stuff. So I think he'd be proud, but he'd say, "What took so long?"
I get that.
I don't think he'd understand how much patience was involved.
Right, Ken. Who is an artist or a song you think everybody should listen to right now?
Well, Brooke Annibale is here. She's going to sing on a song, and I love her songs, and so yeah, people should go check her out. She lives in Rhode Island, and I think she put out a record last year. So
Brooke Annibale.
Yeah, Brooke Annibale.
I'm into it. I'm excited to hear her.
Yeah,
and I'm very excited to hear you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Ken.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're the
Cheers.
best. Cheers.
Think I'll try sleeping on the other side. I dreamt of someone else's life. Then I woke up. Here's the thing, been looking back since 17, but it's wondering what tomorrow brings that's keeping me up. Just ignore me. Quiet comes without any warning. It can probably wait till the morning. I don't mean to wake you up. I don't mean to wake you up. But you should know I never mean to get so low. I like to think that I could grow. Then I grew up. I find these days my silences are full of rage. My heaven is a quiet place to blow it all up. Don't you bore us, spit it out and get to the chorus. I don't think it can wait till the morning. I don't mean to wake you up. I don't mean to wake you up. But I was wondering how anybody can sleep so well, dreaming while I go around on a carousel, trying to find a home in myself. sleep so well, dreaming while I hear the sound of alarming bells, trying to find a home in myself, but mostly I feel more like a hotel. I don't mean to wake you up, I don't mean to wake you up.
Hey stunning people, it's Beane. Make sure to check out the Salt Lick Sessions YouTube channel and subscribe.